Hey everyone, it's Andy's free guitar chart videos for today, and welcome to my YouTube subscribers and my Facebook group friends, and anyone who's found this video on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Follow the directions below the video for the URL put together to apply for um, membership of the Facebook group Andy's free guitar chart videos. I've put together a real good chart today, and it's chart 292. 3 methods of cage identification by string shape. Okay, and by cage identification we mean what cage are we in? Are we in the C cage, the A cage, the G cage, the E cage, or the D cage? So my guitar happens to be down tuned to a C. A C, but it's an E-shaped C. So since cage follows into its own word, so it's caged, caged, caged. Okay, it would start here on an E, and then it would go to a D-shaped C up here, and then from that D it starts the word caged over again, C-shape, and then C goes to A goes to G here, G goes to E again, and then D again way up here. So that's the cage, the cages. And how do you know when you're playing a little string shape, I call them, which is a scale fragment? How do you know which cage you're in? So there's 3 methods that we developed, we were talking about yesterday, and I perfected those methods in this chart. So of course this method's been perfected on its own because this is method 1, the oldest, and then this method works here. I practiced that a little bit more, and then method 3, that's what I'm saying. I made sure this is all working here. So let's get me out of the way and get underway. So let's first talk about the string numbers. So like I was saying before, my guitar is down tuned to C. So my low note is C. The regular normal guitar tuning is E, like that. So I've got them both covered here. So your guitar is likely tuned right here. Here would be your fret nut. The fret nut being this right here. Anything past that can't be played. The reason why there's notes there is because when you play an open string, the note label is usually to the left of the fret that's forming the distance of the string being played. So I call that the sleeve, and all my guitars have that. So my numbering convention is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm just going to play those strings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I already tuned up today as good as I care to. I put a little bit of something into it. So that's the numbering convention. So 1 is going to be the low E. So as we have here, 1 is the low E, 2 is the A, 3 is the D, 4 is the string 4 is the G, string 5 is the B, and string 6 is the E. Okay, so remember what a prerequisite for this lesson, we'll just review, catch you up real quick, is these are the short string shapes. C is 3, 4, 5, G is 6, 7 root, D is 2, 3, 4, A is 5, 6, and E is 7 root 2. So those are the string shapes which are the bottom strings of those cage shapes that I just played the chords on. But this time let's start on D down here, because you can only get half a string shape when we're playing against the fret nut, and then we have to use the long string shape patterns, of which there's 3 of them. Okay, and I'll show you them in a second. Here they are. Here's the long string shape patterns. So we see with the E pattern and the root down here at my low E shape, we're pretty much starting on root E there. So it's pretty much the E shape anyway. So that's what this says. For any string shapes, use the string shape lettering in the same way for the short string shapes. So you'd be in the E cage down here. Even though you couldn't play the short pattern, you'd have to play the long pattern, which would go root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, until you go back into those short patterns. So here's our short patterns. Let's just start with the C on the bottom. Now remember, this is the bottom string of that C shape that we had. Then the G pattern, the G string shape is 6/7 root. No sharing. It's a fifth away from the C. So a caged fifth is up here for the G, because when we play a regular G down here on the open G, okay, the low E becomes the sixth of that G. So in the C shape, we start that G up here on the sixth of C, in the key of C. Okay, so the G cage is I did it kind of weird. It sounded like a minor because I couldn't decide how to explain that to you. But this is the G cage, and we also have its leading tone. It's the G-shaped C cage. Okay, G-shaped C cage. So I call it the G cage in root C guitar. Okay, but the G cage is the real deal. G cage is down here by the fret nut. So it'd be okay, and again you'd have to do the long pattern there. So these are the string shapes. They're the bottom strings of those cage shapes. So in the real deal G, the 6/7 root would be down here. That would be the G shape. That would be the G string shape. Okay, so that's what the string shapes are. And then D is 2, 3, 4, A is 5, 6, E is 7 root 2. Okay, so I want to move along quickly here today, because I'm running a little late. So method 1. Let's look at method 1 again. We did cover this yesterday, but I've kind of refurbished the method. I'm over here now. Method 1, cage shape warp modulation. Okay, now the patterns, the P4 patterns that make these string shapes are here. Okay, this is the long pattern stack and all that stuff. All right, so there's short patterns in the long pattern stack. It leads into it's a short pattern stack into the long patterns, into the shorts. Okay, so these are the string shapes right there, and then they lead into the long ones. All right, so I forgot why I went over there, just probably to create some confusion. Start a new cage shape. Oh yeah, so with these patterns right here, okay, you already have to modulate because of the tuning warp. So a pattern might say, in diatonic, it might say do this and then do this. Okay, but I had to modulate up the top of that one for the tuning third. So pattern 1 is going to modulate an already modulated perfect fourth tuning pattern. So if you've already memorized the pentatonic scales, then you just put those shapes through the tuning warp once again and let the tuning warp modulate them once again, starting from a different string.